on. For me, for example, I love wrestling, period. Whether you're with WCW or the other one, WWF, we can say it, you know,
right,
or any other of those wrestling promotions. What do you think of this war that's going on between the two main ones? You know.
Well, I feel like we don't have. You know, I'm just saying myself, we don't have a war. I think that people had a projection that nobody would ever take WWF because of the legendary status that it had through the years, you know, with everything. They were one of the first ones that really created the action figures, wrestlers on the MTV, more showbiz entertainment type wrestling.
Were they the first ones who created a pay-per-view event?
Well, to me, maybe somebody came along before that, but I think they were, because I was on the first WrestleMania. That was a thrill for me. I managed King Kong Bundy, who beat Stu Jones in about 15 or 17 seconds.
It was a record for a while.
Right, and Greg the Hammer Valentine, who was against Tito Santana. So I was thrilled to be there, especially coming from Memphis, Tennessee. So I felt like they did, not knowing anybody else who ever had a pay-per-view in wrestling. There might be somebody else out there, so if you are, I hope I'm not offending you, but excuse my ignorance on that. But I feel like there's not a war now. They projected that maybe a year and a half we might come close to taking WWF. But I think what Eric Bischoff did, he's young, he's enthusiastic, he's an innovator. I think he came out and realized, like any football team, to have a good football team, you got to get a good quarterback. Well, who did he bring in? Hulk Hogan, who had a name. Then you got to get you a couple of good old halfbacks. You know, so that came Nash and Hall. You got to get you a good fullback, you know, and tight ends and stuff. The Steiners, Lex Luger, Sting. If you look at PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, has a little book that comes out each 6 months or a year, and they list from the fans, supposedly, whether it is or not, the top 500. Well, I was just looking at the top 500 wrestlers, and out of the top 500 wrestlers, it was like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Sting, Lex Luger, the Steiner brothers, everything. 7 out of the top 10 came from the WCW. So I think what Eric Bischoff has done, he's put together a great promotional force. We have, and she walked in, I'm not saying it because she's there, like Lynn Brent. They put Alan Sharp together. Mike Weber, he's put a good creative force because Mike Weber came from WWF, so he learned from up there how to go out and promote and do the right things. In return, we have that happening for us. We have a good staff of people that go out now and do the things for WCW like Vince used to have for WWF. And bringing these superstars over, we got Piper with us now. And like I said, Bret Hart made a statement the other day, and I love Bret Hart, don't get me wrong, I hope this is not quoted the right way, but things bother me because it's funny how people change, what we were talking about earlier. You know, Bret Hart said that Nash and Hall probably cry themselves to sleep every night because when they cash that check, I'm sure they got a smile on their face, but when they go to sleep at night, they cry themselves to sleep because of being down here with Hulk Hogan and all that stuff. If anybody's crying themselves to sleep, it's probably Bret Hart because he was just offered a contract with us and he decided to stay with Vince McMahon, from what I read. Now, if our ratings are beating them so badly now with Bret Hart, who's crying themselves to sleep at night? I'd be crying myself to sleep knowing that I'm carrying the torch for WCW and I'm the main man, and all of a sudden I'm on TV every week with all the stars they've got and a lot of past stars that used to be with us. So that means that everything he's got right now is not affecting us. So I'd hate to let somebody know gave me a good contract, and now I'm sure our people look and think, God, we didn't sign Bret Hart up or some of the other guys because we're killing them without him. So it's funny how people change, you know, and I love Bret. I don't say anything about any of the wrestlers up there because they don't have families. They all work hard, and they're doing the best they can do. But I just know right now the thing that's hot and happening, and you know it, and if I'm lying, I'm dying, is WCW. You know, the ratings prove it. And it's because of Eric Bischoff, whether anybody likes this man or not, went out on a limb, got in the right talent he believed in that other people said they might be too old or they're outdated or anything else, because wrestling fans are just like football fans. When I go to see Buffalo, whether he's any good anymore or not, I still like was Jim Kelly. When you talk about Miami football, Dan Marino. When you talk about 49ers, you know, and so that's what I'm saying. So when you talk about wrestling, the first name's going to be Hulk Hogan. The second name's probably going to be Ric Flair. The third name's going to be a Lex Luger or a Sting or a Nash and Hall. And that's just the way life really is.